Okay, we are now live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Asheville Transit Committee virtual meeting for Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. This will be our last virtual meeting of the year, and we will resume in-person meetings in August. I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to chair this meeting, and I welcome the community and the team together. I would like to please just call roll and have you take a minute to introduce yourselves. There's been some question about quorum, so I just want to make sure that we're all accounted for. So Jeff Jones.
Here, present.
Thank you. John Hahn. Thank you, John. Harvey Harold. We see you, Harvey. Thank you so much. Kyle Sherrard. Thank you, Kyle.
Here.
John Bassoni.
I am here. I'm actually in the car driving, but I'm
Thank
here.
you so much. John plays double duty, and he serves on both the Transit Committee and the Multimodal Transportation Committee, Multimodal
Commission.
MTC, and is a hardworking member of our community. So thank you, John, for all the times you're able to show up for us. That's where my screen abilities end. I'm not sure who else I have. If you are with the Transit Committee, I'll try and change my layout. Sorry, y'all. Who's next? Georgia. I understand that Georgia's missing today. Amy, can you? Sorry, y'all.
Brandon Oliver will be the last one.
Brandon, are you with us? I see that Council Person Kim Roney just showed up. That makes me happy. I will transition now then to time to introduce, for city staff to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Eunice Lovey.
Hi, my name is Amy Tester, and I'm the administrative assistant.
Haley Burton, the Transit Projects Coordinator.
Barry Riling with RATP DEF.
LaShawn Abraham, RATP DEF.
Thank you so much and welcome. So now, please, I would like to review and make any amendments to last month's minutes, please. Jeff.
I noticed that it said we had 5 members present, but that we did not have a quorum. I think it probably should say that we did have a quorum.
I support that. I wrote that at the beginning, and then I think Brandon joined in shortly after that, and I didn't correct it. So that should read 6 of however many number it was at that time were present and a quorum was had.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank y'all. So I hear a motion from Jeff Jones, a second from Kyle, and can we please get in a, Amy, do you mind making those changes physically?
Yes, I will make them and I'll resend it out.
Good job. So let's take a vote. All in favor, Jeff Jones. John.
Aye.
Do we need to hear it?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you. Harvey Harold.
Aye.
Thank you. Kyle Sherrard.
Aye.
Thank you so much. John Bassoni.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Brandon Oliver. Rochelle Sorensen Cox in favor. Does that make it happen?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Getting it done. The agenda. Does anyone have any changes or amendments or ideas about the agenda? So does anyone want to approve these?
I move to accept the agenda as written.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second?
I
Second.
second.
Harvey Harold, thank you so much. Okay. Let's do this agenda. Explanation of public comment, standards.
You may need to vote on the agenda,
Oh,
Rochelle.
I'm sorry. We sure do. Sorry. I'm so excited by teamwork. I get ahead of myself. All right. So let's take a vote. Who approves this agenda? Jeff Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. John.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you. Kyle.
Aye.
Brandon. Am I making it up that he's here? I vote in favor. John Bissoni.
Aye.
Thank you. Do they pass? Does the agenda?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Amy. Okay. Explanation of public comments, standards and opportunities. Amy, if you'll quickly just go over the different ways that people can communicate. And I understand that there weren't any virtual comments in this time, but I do have a few to share. If you'll be patient with me after Amy's description of how that works.
Is that yours or is that transit committee member? Hey, Rachel, just clarification. Do you want Amy to go over public comments as they pertain to what the transit committee does? Normally, this is done by a member of the transit committee, so I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, I in no way to make this complicated. I just maybe I'll just say that public comment is welcome for these meetings, and it comes in during in various ways, and none came in through the virtual format that's been set up through the city. I did get is that satisfactory? I can let Amy off the hook and city staff off the hook.
I just wanted to clarify, it's not so much getting off the hook and looking at what has been done in the past, and wanted to make sure that we're following, the process in place.
Sure. And I think, thank you so much, Eunice. I think, yes, the process in place, and the process currently is evolving as we move to a different phase in this pandemic. So, public comment is important and essential to these bear with me one second, these community-driven organizations and committees like the Transit Committee. So I just want to say that I received a little bit of feedback from Michael Stratton, who is a member of the Multimodal Transportation Committee. And it was an email just urging us to consider advocating for the continuation of the virtual option of these meetings. I know that we continue to meet, that we will start meeting in person next month, and that's a big change. And to invite community input live and still just make that a focus.
Do you want us to respond to that, Rochelle? Because there is, okay, you're just sharing, okay.
Yeah, just sharing. Public input is really important to me, and I know that it's changing, and we didn't receive any through the city, so thank you, city, for being patient with me while I work through that.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay, back to the agenda. I've been playing with my phone and lost it. Can someone tell me the next item up, please? Kyle?
Yes, we're moving on to old business. We've got Better Buses Together Transit Center Safety Plan update, followed by continuing to recruit new transit committee members, followed by Ms. Burton with a bus stop update.
Thank you so much. So I am so excited to say that I was part of the first meeting for the community, and to to look at ways, hosted by Better Buses Together and Just Economics, to look at ways that we can move forward with the safety plan and just getting all of the stakeholders together at once. And I think it was a great first attempt. There are a couple of people on this Zoom call today who were part of that. I would like to open that up to those that were there to just speak a little bit to how that meeting happened and a good next step. Jeff.
Yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. There was an incredibly high participation in my mind. And this is participation from organizations who have maybe some input and some insight about how to do this. So I want to applaud. I think Haley was instrumental, and Eunice were instrumental, along with Better Buses Together, Carmen, in bringing those groups together. There was wide-ranging support for the safety plan, and so I think it's made some incredible progress in that meeting. So thanks, everyone.
Haley, do you mind saying a little bit about the city's involvement in this and how you feel?
Sure. I think we also feel like it was a good conversation, and we're excited that so many different people from the community were able to show up. And I think for some next steps, we're going to follow up to everyone who is in attendance and see who wants to continue to be engaged and continue these conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was great. So old business. Kyle, what was the next one?
Discussion on continuing to recruit new transit.
Yeah, so in order to keep this good work going, not only do we need to continue to collaborate with community organizations, but also just build our team. Every week or every meeting, I feel like we start with, do we have a quorum? And there's a little bit of anxiety attached to that. So thank you again for everyone who has shown up. And I guess we just need to continue to advocate for more voices to come to this table. Jeff.
Yeah, I shared this with Eunice, and I think Eunice was also shared it with RATP Dev. The announcements to recruit transit committee members was supposed to go on the buses. The buses that I was riding, it was only in Russian. The signs that were posted were only in Russian, a couple of different buses. On another bus, I saw the English sign, but it was actually with a stack of signs behind the driver and not posted. So I think Eunice was going to follow up with RATP Dev on that.
Hey, Jeff, thank you for bringing it up. I almost forgot about it, so I appreciate bringing this up at this meeting.
We will take a look at that, get it resolved.
Thank you. On that same note, I understand, well, as part of our pre-agenda or our agenda setting meeting, we discussed inviting an applicant to join this meeting. Can you speak to that, Eunice?
Yeah, we discussed inviting two applicants that are interested in joining the transit committee. And we extended invitations to them. Did you receive any information about them?
They accepted
Okay.
the invitation.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
See if they're on the call.
Do we have anyone who's on the call and who has not been recognized and is visiting this call?
They're not on there.
Amy, are you able on your end to identify any
Yeah.
I did not
Nice
see that they
people.
are on this call, but they did accept the invitation.
Yeah. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but could we extend that invitation to our first in-person meeting, maybe this virtual format? I'd like to rule out that this is an opportunity or a hurdle for them. Could we invite them and just carry that over to our in-person meeting next month downtown?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Does that need to be a formal?
We can extend the invitation by email and maybe also by a formal letter, just to make sure that either way they are notified of their invitation to participate in the next meeting.
I like that. Thank you so much. And then, Barry, if I can just ask a follow-up, how will we know that the signage is up through the bus system?
You should see it in the buses, and we will.
I should as a rider, or everyone? Like, how can we as a community?
Everyone should see it in the buses. Yes. So I'll get with our staff this evening. We'll do an audit and a review and make sure that if I don't have them, we'll make that request from the city, and we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just one more follow-up. For those of us that don't ride many of these members don't ride the bus. Could we expect an email just saying that they're there?
I will let the city know when it's done. Yes.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate that. Kyle, can you tell me them?
I would like to say something before we move on.
Oh, of course, Harvey. Thank you.
Yes, on the 2 applications that we did have for
Harvey, you're cutting out a little bit for me. Can you dive in there and I'll mute myself?
The applications that we have for Jean Bedore and Sandy Aldridge, when they email them, would they make sure that applications are filled out in their entirety? Because both applications are not filled out in their entirety. And that's all I want to say.
Yeah, good catch. Yeah, certainly.
If you want to know what's not on the applications, I can tell you that too.
Sure. It sounds concerning to you. So if it's concerning to you, it's concerning to me. Could you please share with us what's missing?
Yes, on Jean Bedore's application, there is nothing listed as far as conflict of interest. And on Sandy's Aldridge's application, there's no mailing address, no CD, no zip, no phone number. Those things are required on the application. Any application.
So it sounds like the applications are incomplete.
Thank
and
you.
maybe
That's what I said in the first place.
Yeah. Thank you, Harvey. Yes, sir. So perhaps it should be a call to action. I'm hearing that maybe a rejection of incomplete.
When she emails them, just make sure they fill out the application correctly. And that's all it takes. When she emails them, just tell them, make sure the application is filled out completely.
And just to clarify, do we have email information for Sandy, who provided very little information?
We do have their email,
both candidates. Okay. All right. Does this require any action or any voting about what applications should include or not include?
We can email them to complete, submit a completed application, especially where they omitted to provide information that's needed, so that we can have a complete one next time around.
Perfect. So everyone feels good about this? And the city's going to, and I hear a recommitment to help advocate and advertise for more city council people. Transit committee folks. Jeff, you have to replace yourself before you leave. Can you accept that challenge, please?
No. I invited 5 people to make applications for this committee. 2 work on Tuesday afternoons. 1 does not live in the city. I won't bore you with more of the details, but I tried.
Yeah, there are some barriers for sure. Brandon, are you really here?
I won't take anybody. I won't take anybody else.
I am. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Thank you for joining, Brendan. We appreciate your time and your energy and your service on other city-appointed committees. I know you do a lot for us, and I appreciate your voice.
Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of the group.
Kyle, can you help me with what's next?
Yeah, next is Haley Burton's update on.
I'm sorry?
Haley has an update
I am.
on bus
Nope.
stop.
Hi.
Kim Roney has something to share. Thank you, Kim.
So before the next presentation, this is out of curiosity because I'm not sure the last time that this group has considered a time change for the meeting. But as the group is moving back into in-person meetings, I was curious if y'all have considered a time to make sure that everybody can still attend.
Sure.
That's a great question. And when you say consider it, I think all of us consider it every time we have to fit it into our schedules. Have we considered asking for a change? I'm not sure. So thank you for bringing this up, Councilperson Roney. I really appreciate this. Would anyone like to add anything to this conversation?
I would object to leaving it the way it is, but
Hey, Harvey.
we don't know since we went through the COVID and everything like that, and it may be a conflict with other people, but I'm fine with the way it is. The 3:30 meetings, but I'm good with
Thanks, Harvey.
I'm good with changing or anything.
All right, so we hear one for keeping it or leaving it. Maybe let's just do a simple, everyone who's okay with this time, let's just give a thumbs up. So we've all figured out how to work this time into our lives. John, how do you?
Yeah, I'm good with the time.
Okay.
I think I would love to have the virtual option because
Yeah.
it allows me sometimes to sign in when I'm actually not available to be there in person, but the time is fine.
Sure, I think we can all agree, or at least consider that the in-time commitment is longer than the virtual commitment. I mean, I just mowed my lawn. I'm wearing a visor, and I don't even have full pants on. So I appreciate this option to come in right before the meeting time and make this happen. And with on time, I'm going to have to catch the bus and dress differently and present differently and give it more time. So there is that. I guess, Councilperson Roney, do you have anything else? I mean, I think we consider it, but I also think we're okay. New committee members, I assume that that's a question on the application. I feel like it was for me. I'm happy to explore this further, or did we?
Yeah, this is Kim. It wasn't my intention to derail your meeting. Simply that in the past we have done a Google form so that folks can say when they're available at this time, but also available at other times. And there turned out to be 2 other times and days that might make it a little bit easier for your recruitment. I'm thinking specifically that Jeff noted that this time wasn't a good time for potential future members.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be done in this meeting.
Well, I'd like to just handle it if we can. Do you mind reporting what those other 2 optimal times are?
This was at a time when the transit committee was differently membered, but Wednesday mornings and Fridays ended up being a time when most of the members could attend as well.
And
but it's important to consider staff timing as well.
Of course. On Friday, was it an AM, midday, or PM opportunity?
I could send you that survey from a couple of years ago.
That would be great. Thank you. I think the more information we have, the better. Appreciate that.
Rachel, how do you want us to handle this? Do you want us to wait for directions from you in terms of reviewing what Kim sent to you and give us information so that we can share with every member of the transit committee?
Well, thank you for this question and this ability to prioritize. I think the first thing is that I'll wait for the information to come from Kim. And if we have already decided that we first need full applications from future members and the next meeting time is already set, I would just like for us to remember and consider to add this to the agenda for the in-person August meeting and just keep it simple.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Kim, are we good?
Sure thing.
Thanks for being here. Haley, will you talk about bus stop improvement project, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this is intended to be just a quick update on the bus stop improvement grant that we've received from the from FTA. It's for $1 million. I presented on this previously, but I put together this sort of task sheet so that you all, and we can share this with you, can kind of understand our short-term goals and tasks, our near-term, meaning sometime between the next 3 months and the next year, and then long-term, sometime in the next couple of years as we're working on making these improvements. And I am not intending to go over every single item on this list right now. I'm happy to take any questions, but just so you have an idea of what we're working on at the moment, one major thing that we're working on is updating, for bus stop locations, we're reviewing our previous locations list, and we're going to conduct a right-of-way review, meaning we're going to, for the locations where we said we were going to put a shelter there or going to put a bench there, we're going out to look at some of these locations where the space was a little bit questionable to make sure that we actually have enough space to be able to do that. And at the same time, something we're considering with a future bus shelter is the potential for solar panels. And so as we're reviewing these locations, we're also looking at solar panel feasibility based on, what side of the street and lighting conditions around the location. And throughout the process, it's likely that some of these exact locations might change a bit, and we'll continue to update those. Additionally, something that we're working on right now is selecting a new city bus shelter. So updating our standard shelter. We've discussed with Transit Committee previously that we want to move away from plexiglass. I think that's something that both Transit Committee and city staff agree on. And so we have looked at a approved products list from NC Department of Transportation. And from that list, we've been working with internal staff to kind of get down to a couple designs that would offer some different size options for places where we have more space and also more limited space. And once we have a few designs that we're feeling comfortable with, we're going to release our RFP so that we can get some bus shelter bids and move forward with selecting a bus shelter. And as we're doing that, something that we're also updating is our city shelter design manual. There are a few things that needed to be updated in our own kind of design standards. One of those being allowing for these different sizes, as we've seen that to be a continued issue in the city as we don't have as much space as we'd always like. And eventually we will bring that to council for approval. The digital signage has already been installed at the Transit Center, UNCA, Asheville Housing Authority, and we're continuing to monitor the health and efficiency of those. And then really, as we keep moving forward, we'll continue to figure out the phasings of how we're doing these improvements. Really, the closest sort of substantial sort of construction work you'll see is we're going to remove the existing Tapas stops and any substandard bus stops. And then I think shortly after that, we'll try and pour some new concrete pads and ADA pads where needed to be able to prepare for putting shelters and other improvements in. And then as we're doing all this, of course, we're hoping to be transparent and share information with you all and information with the public on our website and through other channels. So that is a quick update. Happy to take any questions if you have any.
Jeff.
Haley, I noticed on your spreadsheet, it talks about updating the transit committee. I was wondering if you would be, especially when it comes to selecting bus shelters, will you be getting input from the transit committee rather than just updating them? We, being that we are bus riders, we might have some valuable input.
Yes, this is something that we've discussed. We do think we'll want input of some sort. We haven't exactly figured out what that might be. For example, we might choose kind of a base of a shelter, and then if you all would be able to provide feedback on maybe the paneling options or the roofing options, because a lot of these shelter designs are like highly customizable. And we've considered coming to transit committee or also potentially doing more of a broader survey. So don't worry, we won't leave you out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Haley. I personally love the idea of a broader survey, and I love the idea of really unique design, not a standard maybe, and the exploration of each community and each bus stop just really lends itself to a unique bus stop. I mean, you have, I think, unlimited opportunity, and that's where we can really establish the art in Asheville Rides Transit and work with, well, I could keep going, but I guess maybe I'll frame this in a question that's answerable. I will frame this in a question that's hopefully answerable. Could there be opportunities to partner with the property owner or different organizations, and I'm thinking even Eagle Scouts, to get some maybe work and design input from the communities that host these bus stops so that they really serve the unique stop or the stop in a unique way to that community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know that we have enough information for you at this point to give you sort of a direct answer, other than I can say that consideration of opportunity for like public art is something that we are discussing as we think about a new standard. And if we were to allow for options for like beautification or customization from one area of the city to another, we would likely still have a standard, and then, you know, we could change it as needed or as desired.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, standards for sure, for safety and all other things. Great. Haley, I'm so happy to have you on board. You really add a lot to this team and to the city. So thank you for being here. Is there more to this presentation?
This is it, unless anyone has any other questions.
Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing and seeing the changes. Let's see. So moving on to new business, it seems like. Jeff Jones. Hello, sir. Today is Jeff's last meeting with us. He is moving on, and I'm going to leave it at that and just turn the time over to Jeff to say as much or as little as he would like about what his next good trouble looks like.
Well, I like the way you phrase it, creating some good trouble. Yes. First of all, thank you to all transit committee members, former transit committee members. I've learned so much from Camroni, just all of you, staff, RATP Dev. Really, transit I've seen phenomenal changes, and the groundwork was laid on transit before I arrived. And so we've just been trying to make it happen. Yeah, I'm going to El Paso, Texas to work at the border area for a year. Incredibly excited about that. I leave tomorrow. So I wish you all the very best. And I'm ready to move on to the next item on the agenda.
We are too, but just for fun, if everyone can just show up, turn your cameras on just a minute, and give my guy some spirit fingers. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay, so transit committee attendance. Oh, you're going to be missed. And that said, just thank you for showing up. And we know it's hard for showing up. And this is a moment where we're supposed to just be like, if you don't mean it, you got to show up. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you for showing up. We're going to recruit some new members as a team. I appreciate the city and RAPT Dev for being willing to advertise some new members, and let's just keep showing up. I want to move on. Overview of Fare Free Zone and some ongoing challenges with that. I don't remember putting that on the agenda, but are there some opportunities?
Yeah. Excuse my comment, Rochelle. Do you want to go over the attendance policy and the reason why we included this specific item due to absence from some of our members and the importance in making sure that everyone attends the meeting?
Amen.
Well, yes, I did. I clearly glanced over it because I know everyone's working hard to get here. So yes, I will honor the space and the city's interest in honoring your time and really everyone's time. And yes, an overview of the attendance policy is a good idea. Thank you for slowing me down.
Okay. Do you want to go over that or? It is the chair's responsibility to go over that and make sure that, if there's a need to provide additional information at the next meeting in terms of a spreadsheet showing who has been attending meetings consistently, we can do that as well. But it is an uncomfortable discussion, but it's something that we also need to make sure that that conversation is had.
Certainly. And again, thank you. Harvey, I feel like if I may lean on you for a second, I feel like you're the most versed or one of the most versed members of this team to speak about the rules and regulations. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of, or just what the rules are around attendance, please?
Yes. It's Article 3 of the membership. And we've had, kind of lax on the way we, necessarily chastise, people that don't come to the meetings. And, we have to, it would be necessary to emphasize the point of being at the meetings each and every month when we do have one. And the way it goes as far as Article 3 of the membership is the attendance, the failure of any committee member to attend 75% or more of the meetings of the committee held during a 12-month period, unless excused, must be grounds for removal.
Can you answer or Kyle, maybe you can speak to this. What does excused mean? Because I know we've had some members who have been absent, who have let us know
I would say if people call before the meeting a reasonable time before the meeting, everybody will know they're not coming instead of anticipating that they might show up. That would be the best policy on that. And that's the way I think it's written. You know, you should give time enough to let everybody know you're not coming.
Amy, are you, Amy or Eunice, do you have stats to report today about folks who are maybe in that danger zone?
Yeah. We're going to share it with the group.
Thank you.
Amy, were you wanting me to share the attendance policy, or are you bringing up the specific? Okay, attendance for this group.
I am sharing the attendance for the group, but if you would like to share the policy, you're more than welcome to.
Sure, I'll put it in the chat for everyone. It basically says any appointee who fails to attend at least 75% of the regular scheduled meetings within a year period can be dismissed.
And can you help us understand the key?
For the spreadsheet?
Yeah, even if we just do mine, like NA, like I see C's in gray, NA in red, X's in white. Can you just tell me what that all means? Yes. We can just talk about my line.
Okay, so the C would be a canceled meeting. And then the X would be when you actually attended the meeting. And then the NA, you were actually not on the committee as of that time. And so that's what NA. And then A would be the absent for the meeting. And the specific date that the meeting occurred is listed as well.
Yeah. Kim.
Yes, thank you for a moment to address this group. First, I want to express gratitude for everyone who has been attending these meetings during a pandemic. I know that not everyone has easy, affordable access to the internet. So I take that really seriously as someone who receives the advice that you give. I know that my colleagues on council would share that gratitude as well. So I'll just speak for myself as someone who's had some experience at this level in this board in the past, is that this group is full of bus riders. And so I know as a bus rider that it takes extra time and planning and energy, time away from your work and your families to be at this meeting, especially when it's in person. So I just want to let y'all know that we're getting ready to have a conversation at boards and committees, our commissions committee at council level about the transit committee once again having a status advising to council directly. So we need all hands on deck. And that's one of the reasons why I would bring up, is this the best time or day for this group to meet? Because I value the work that you do so much, and I know that the city does as well. So it might be a good time to check in with folks who have had regular absences to see if the reason was that the meetings were not in person. Maybe the virtual attendance added a layer of difficulty, even though for some it has added a layer of increased accessibility. One of the benefits of serving on boards and commissions is that people notice when you don't show up. Sometimes that creates a difficulty where you don't have a quorum, so you can't make any votes, so you can't advise council. And that means that the group as a whole can't do its work most effectively or even at all. On the other hand, when you're missing, that is a chance for folks that are on this committee, your fellow advisors and neighbors, to check and make sure you're okay. So I just would encourage that. I know this is part of the responsibility and the role of the secretary, but also the chair, that y'all have access to the most common and accessible types of communication. Maybe email is not the best and only good form of communication. Maybe it means sharing, my phone number is the best way to reach me, or I only communicate using this app because I don't have regular access to a phone. That kind of communication will make it so you have good communication before and after meetings, but it also means that folks can check when you're not able to attend out of a place of genuine care.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I love everything that you just said. And I also, if you can go back to that, do you mind just showing that visual one more time? There's something else. Okay, all of those gray C's mean that that meeting was canceled. And I'm assuming, and what I remember is that those meetings were canceled on a level higher than the interest of this committee. So I know that it was really disappointing to me as a committee member to see that my meeting was canceled, and I felt not taken seriously. And I'll stop with my personal feelings about that. But I did make the time and space, and then when those were canceled, there was a trust issue about when are these going to happen again. So I like the direction we're heading. I think pumping the brakes a little bit and waiting to see what council decides about offering virtual meetings and in-person meetings and some flexibility to that end with attendance, and opens us up to really serving the community in the best ways. So I could not be more thrilled with this conversation. And does anyone else have anything to say? Because I could go on forever.
This is Kim again. On the other hand, if you don't have a quorum, you can't do the work that the group is designed and asked to convene together to do. So it does make sense as you come back to in-person meetings to visit that conversation and make sure that you're being able to be effective as a group. It can be very difficult to let someone know that their attendance has been so consistent that the group hasn't been able to participate without them, that they are so valued that they really have to show up. And it is possible that it's not the right time for someone to be at the group table, but they could come back at another time. So we don't want to discourage folks from that opportunity to come back.
No, not at all. And thank you, Kim. And I think that also lends itself to how can we create an opportunity for more public input, because there are many, many people that have things to say about transit, their experience, their wants, their desires, their concerns, their best, even their best things. And are we best serving the community by making that public comment available? I don't think so, because I'm hearing about it through different things, but it's not coming in through the channels. So yeah, this is great conversation. And there's some future agenda items that will really lend to the continuation of this work. So I will do my best to focus and move on right now. Does anyone else have anything to say? Harvey?
Yes. I think what we should, well, at some point in time, this has to happen. When we have a bunch of new members, and it would be good to let everybody know memberships last for 1 year. I think that's what I'm sure of. It lasts for 1 year, and let everybody know each term lasts for. Is it
I said 3.
Is it 3 for each term? That's your term. So
big commitment.
Is allowed to serve 2 terms, right? Okay, because I was misinformed because, let me see, and it might be, somewhat I was not adding my dates up right, because I came on in 3/17. I took over somebody else's term, and that term ended in 2020. And then I picked up the 2020 and 3/1/2020, and now my end of term is 2/28/22.
Harvey, this is Kim. Not to complicate things further, the limit to terms is 2 full terms. So you could serve part of a term like you did and end up serving almost 9 years if you are available
Right.
and willing.
Yeah.
Come on, Harvey.
That's what I got out of, because when you said 3 and I thought it was a year, and then you said 3 years and I said, I miscalculated my time between 17 and 22. I miscalculated my time, but I got you now. So my time won't be up till to get another term till 2/28/22. But
Sounds like we got you, Harvey.
Everybody should know when that term ends, when that term starts and when it ends. And that's all I have. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim. I feel like we already, let's see, overview of free. Okay, so the next item is overview of Fair Free Zone. Well, do we feel like we've closed the conversation today about attendance? Is there anything else we need to say about this? Thank you. John Bassoni.
Are we going to receive a Google sheet with select times?
Yes, thank you. If we could just add to the minutes that I expect that the next course of action is that I'm going to receive, that Kim is going to send me past data for best times of the transit committee that I will then translate into a document that will include those times and open it up to future best times that we will send to this committee, and that we will also include as part of the application process to anyone who applies between now and the time that we vote on a change of time. Does that make sense? Did I say the things? Kyle, you're the best. Okay, the best secretary ever. Tap to. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're good. Moving on. Okay. Masks. No, fair free zones and challenges. New business overview of fair free zone and ongoing challenges. I'm assuming with the fair free zone, or are these ongoing challenges?
Yeah, so this is intended as an FYI, and also to let TC members know that we're currently looking at that in terms of the current policy as part of the fair policy we have, and share with you that we're looking at it, thus taking an in-depth look at the fair policy and fair free zone in downtown Asheville. Some of the issues we recognize happening is that there is a lack of awareness of the fact that we do have a fair free zone in downtown Asheville. The other part of this is also the ability for the drivers to really monitor and track this, because if a person or passenger gets on the bus and basically indicated that they got on at a place where the fare free zone begins and where it ends, it is very challenging for them to really track that and make sure that people are adhering to the current policy. So we are working with RATP Dev in redefining that. And as part of the lack of awareness, we're hoping to do a number of things, including making sure that signage is installed throughout the area designated as fare free zone. We're also looking at possible issues in terms of how we can ensure that people are able to utilize the fare free zone, as well as not create as much confusion as it is right now. So we're hoping to bring some more information to TC next month with a presentation and additional information on what we're looking at. Any questions? Any concerns?
Can you just give a quick rundown of maybe like some streets that include the fare free zone? Not anything detailed, just sort of the perimeter.
So basically, we have an area designated as fare free zone, and I'll do my best to basically, and I don't. It's within the downtown area, and we
Like
have
the central business district.
Eunice, I have a map if you want me to share my screen.
Sure, can you do so?
Yes.
Thanks, Haley.
Mm-hmm. All right, are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Is it
So
the yellow?
it's a little odd, but everything in the yellow is the fare free zone.
So basically Charlotte North, Charlotte Street South, South Side.
Yeah, Haywood. Street.
It's pretty generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great tool for tourism. So is there any way, like I know even if you put up signs, one thing that I've learned from working and living downtown for so long is that folks visiting Asheville are not going to look up and look at signs. So could there be a way to have an app through, like the Visit Asheville or Explore Asheville that kind of takes this into account? Because I know that as a person who has family come into town who's not going to love walking some of these streets because it's going to be hard for them, this free downtown zone is going to enhance our downtown day of shopping and visiting immensely.
Yeah, those are some of the potential things that we're looking to do and create more awareness so that visitors coming to Asheville are able to utilize that. And not only that, people that currently use the system are also aware of where it begins and ends, because that's one of the issues in terms of where, even though it is clearly marked on the map that we're looking at, there's still some confusion and there's a need to provide more information on that. So this is a quick overview in terms of what it is, what we're looking at, and we're going to come with additional information as to the potential solutions that we're looking at.
Well, I love it. And I will just note one more thing, that as a bus rider all the time, I didn't really know the parameters of the fare free zone. And I usually start and end my journeys outside of the zone. So to me, I almost feel, I hear the concerns with the general population, and as a former transit employee, I can see that there could be a big opportunity for enforcement and knowledge and just enforcing this fare-free zone with some of the regular riders. I also think that the whole opposite other side to this is a great selling point to visitors in Asheville. This is huge, and I just really see this as a good opportunity. So I appreciate the energy around making this more visible and more user-friendly and easier on the drivers. That's always something that I'm interested in. Got to make it easier for the people that work so hard. Thank you so much, Eunice. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next thing. Kyle, what have we got next? Do you mind?
Yeah, you wanted us to update the group. Well, this is something that we continue to do and supply quantities to RATP-DEV for distribution to passengers, not only on the platform, but also on the buses. And as shared with you, the last time we met with you, we purchased about 30,000 more masks for distribution. So we work with RATP-DEV to give us update as to the number of masks we have each week to ensure that we're keeping track of it and monitoring usage and be able to replenish the number of masks on hand if there's a need for us to do so.
Any comments or questions about this? Yeah, I applaud this effort too. I do just have a question. Does this financial responsibility to purchase masks fall on the city?
Yeah, and we've been using some of our CARES Act funding that was awarded to the city to pay for this. So it goes to the COVID related funding we got from FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, and that's what we've been using to pay for the mask. And any PPD that we purchase or RATP Dev purchases for operational activities.
Well, thank you to the city for taking on the burden of that expense. A follow-up question is, as part of this increased collaboration with the county, and given that the health department is right across the street, is there any way that the health department and Buncombe County can step in and just offer some masks to this effort? And I guess that's not really a question. Of course, I don't expect city officials to answer for county, but has there been an ask, or could there be an ask?
To be honest with you, we can reach out to them and see if they have any quantities they can donate to the city for this effort. I believe BBT may have partnered with them at the beginning of this process, and they donated all that quantities to the city for distribution to the public. But we can also reach out and see if they're willing to share any with us.
Yeah, Jeff, you were part of that effort with Better Buses to hand out masks, and that was quite successful. It just seems like a natural community partner would be the health department right across the street. But okay, thank you so much, Eunice. I appreciate all the things you do. Let's see. New transit applications are on new business. I kind of feel like we've already touched this, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Want to move on too quickly if there's something else we want to say. Okay. Next item of business makes me so excited I can't stand it, but that is the discussion of a retreat. So a really intentional in-person onboarding so that we all can have an opportunity to bond and learn and get on the same page in a real, tangible way. So Eunice, I appreciate so much that you offered this option as not only an agenda item, but a real event in the future. Will you speak to that a little, please?
Sure. Basically, it boils down to the retreat we had in 2019, October of 2019, where TC members looked at a whole array of topics, issues. And I believe at the end of the retreat, there were some concrete goals that were established in terms of making sure that TC members, and if I recall, part of that is seeking funding. Part of that is also working with various community members on a number of items that was identified as part of the process. We also made a presentation at the retreat on transit budget. A number of things, including it's been a long time, so pardon me if I don't remember everything. In terms of working with new TC members and everything, so the idea is to pose that question to the current members and to see if there is interest in having a retreat to follow up on the goals that was established during the 2019 retreat, or if there are any ideas or in terms of other things to do as a group. So that's why I brought it up at the meeting with Rochelle.
So what I hear you saying is there's an opportunity for a retreat if the rest of the committee feels like that would be a good use of time. Jeff Jones.
Yeah, just speaking from the past, that meeting 2 years ago, the retreat 2 years ago was incredibly powerful. It was incredibly important, team building, I've never felt so much cohesion on the transit committee as at the end of that meeting. But the downside for me, and just you'll address this, there were a lot of, I felt that there were a lot of limitations imposed. I was leading some of the efforts, but it seems to me I was told we can't meet in smaller groups because it violates certain rules of sunshine law. So, and so I felt very limited by what we could then do. And then COVID hit. And so, and that affected a lot. So I would get some clarity around what's going to happen after the retreat. We had some great goals, but again, I don't think I was allowed to meet with a smaller group of transit committee members because it violated a rule.
I'm going to need some clarification on, well, just what sunshine rule is and what that means, if someone can help with that. Kyle, can you speak to that?
There's just an informal term for rules in North Carolina that require all public meetings to be open, obviously to the public, unless there's a closed door procedural move that the body makes, which can happen. And Councilperson Roney, feel free to correct or speak up. But sunshine laws basically say that a member of the public can access the notes and meeting minutes, any written materials related to the meeting, including emails between the members. So in theory, if, for instance, Jeff and I went and got coffee or a beer and started making plans for the TC, then that could limit some communications that should have been public. I personally disagree with that, but some people do see it that way.
This is Councilwoman Roney, and Kyle, thank you for that breakdown of the open records and open meetings laws. One of the things that has come up recently through the Human Relations Commission is advice for larger groups to break down into smaller groups, but there are specific guidelines for how to do that. One, the intent is not to avoid open meeting law. The intent is for groups to be able to get together outside of the meeting so that they can bring work back to this group, which is part of the open meetings rules. Now, one of the major points of this is that you not have a quorum of this group. So if I believe a quorum, according to North Carolina laws and regulations, is half plus one. So in this situation, you could have up to 4 members of the transit committee meet to say, make advice on route changes or mapping suggestions, and then bring it back to this group and make a presentation for a formal recommendation or advice from the group. In that case, it might be like a work group that's ongoing. It could be specifically a task force for its one specific purpose. Maybe you don't need a mapping group to meet every month. Maybe you would need a mapping advisory group task force to meet 2 or 3 times before bringing something to the full committee.
This sounds so exciting to me. What next steps do we need to clarify where we fit, and especially in this moment of Councilor Roney, can you speak to us about July 27th Board and Commission and the opportunity for this group to change in dynamic? You know what I'm asking you?
Sure. So I'm hearing 2 requests. One is around the transit committee being re-recognized as a full commission, but the second one is around task force. Personally, my recommendation would be to schedule your retreat and then see what the group has identified as the top priorities for the next year, and then see if those priorities would need smaller groups to work, sort of like doing homework groups outside of this committee, so that you're not just waiting until once a month to do work together. So you might be able to break that down according to task groups after your retreat. The second part of this is the transit committee being recognized as a full commission. At the beginning of the Multimodal Transportation Commission, which is still relatively new, someone correct me if needed, but I believe the multimodal was started 7 years ago, so around 2015. When the multimodal was formed, it became the umbrella of the Greenways Committee, the Transit Committee and the Bike Ped Task Force. So when the Greenway or Bike Ped or Transit committees meet and offer advice, it goes to the multimodal before the multimodal makes a recommendation directly to council. With transit being a core service of the city, I've heard the request and the formal recommendation of this group more than a year ago that the Transit Committee needs to be able to advise council directly. There are several issues around that: capacity for staff, whether or not that would mean more or less time or different time for our staff, but also making sure that you have all the procedures in place to return. The transit used to be a transit authority. Then it was a transit commission, and now it's a transit committee, which is a subcommittee. So we have a recommendation from this group, and it has come up at the multimodal as well. So at the next boards and commission meeting, of which I'm one of 3 members, we will hear recommendations from staff and welcome your recommendations as well about what it would look like for the transit group to advise council directly on the core service that is our transit system.
Love it. Can you talk to me about if you had to rank, like when you say authority, you're saying things that I don't know how much power these all hold. Can you just rank those, like authority, committee, commission? Is there a ranking to just know what all these?
I would say that right now the transit committee has the least amount of access to advise directly the people who make decisions around the budget plans and policies. That does not mean that your advice is not appreciated, just that it has to go through several filters and several meetings and therefore takes more time before it gets to an elected body. Additionally, a change might include, oh my goodness, I can hear Tom's voice right now because he would know how to answer this better. But when there was a transit authority, there may have been more responsibility to run the daily operations, whereas right now we are required to have a third-party management company because our workers are unionized. And so in North Carolina, unionized workers aren't allowed to, how does this work? Negotiate contracts directly with an elected body. So that's why we have a third-party management company that runs the daily operations. That wouldn't change if the transit committee moves to be a commission that advises council directly. What it means is that when you make a recommendation, instead of advising the multimodal, you would be advising the body of council directly that oversees the budget plans and policies.
Thank you. Any further? John.
I remember a little bit in the past, we actually did a formal letter of recommendation for the committee to become a commission again. I think this is before Councilwoman Roney became Councilwoman Roney. Yes.
Indeed. Thank you for remembering that, John. So yes, I do still have that letter of recommendation. So we don't have a recommendation.
I have it in my file somewhere too. Yeah.
And so I would advise that if there are members that are new since that recommendation was made over a year ago, that you could email or contact the full city council. I will drop that in the chat, and it is also available on ashevillennc.gov under the government tab so that you can send it to the full council so that all of the council members can hear your thoughts and concerns about what it looks like to advise council directly.
I love that. Kim, do you mind if you have easy access to that original letter, just sending it? I would really like to include that as an attachment in my email. Thank you. All right. Anything else on this?
Just a quick question, Rachel. Do you want us to table the idea for a retreat until after next week to see what is determined if it's going to still be a transit committee or a transit commission?
No, sorry to interrupt. No, I would really like to, as chair, can I make a motion? No, I can. Okay, I would like to motion that we agree to a retreat to be planned in the future before the close of this year. Well, I don't know how. I would like to make a motion that we schedule a retreat at the August meeting.
Okay. Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, John. We got a second. We have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote. Kyle.
Aye.
Jeff Jones.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Harvey. Are we good with Harvey's vote? I want to hear your voice, Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you. Brandon.
I'm sitting over reading.
Always one step ahead of me, Harvey. Brandon. John Bissoni.
Aye.
Is that enough to make it happen?
Yes.
Passes. Retreat in the future. Thank you, y'all.
Yes.
Makes me so happy. So moving on now, the next sort of businesses, we are transitioning to in-person meetings, which we've already discussed brings up all of the opportunities and all of the opportunities. So excited to see everyone in person, and means different things for different folks. So just a reminder to follow the advice and leadership of Michael Stratton of the Multimodal Transportation Committee, and to voice your opinion on in-person meetings being also available in a virtual way. So if that's something that you find helpful and advantageous to the work we do on this group, please let your voice be heard, and please tell the people who make the decisions in a way that will be hopefully heard. In-person meetings will start again in August. Amy, do you want to just tell us make it official?
Yes. So tomorrow, a couple of city staff will be meeting with CAPE to go over the technology and the resources that we have planned out to be able to utilize moving forward, to be able to utilize to have the meetings in person. And so everyone, the committee members will receive a laptop to use during the meeting, the in-person meeting. And we're just going to go over a few things tomorrow. And after the meeting, I can send out an email to let you know how everything's going to look moving forward. I do know as of right now, we are not going to be doing virtual meetings, but that could always change in the future. They're working to figure out how to accommodate everybody.
Thanks, Amy.
Will they be live streamed still, even though we're meeting in person?
As of right now, the answer is no, but they are working diligently to try to figure out how to make that happen before August.
Harvey, did you want to speak to that?
No, sounds good to me.
Thanks, Amy. So moving on to transit committee updates. We didn't have anything under that. And departmental updates with city staff. Monthly transit update memo, please.
So the memo gives a quick update on a number of projects that we've been working on and continue to work on. Do you want me to go through all of them, Rachel? Basically, I try to summarize all the different projects that we've been working on. And so just want to, maybe the most important thing here is the 2 buses that we purchased from Gillick have been delivered. And so we're working on that, and we'll be working with RATP Dev to put them in service, hopefully sometime next month, since we have to apply for the license plate for DMV, train the drivers on how to drive that specific bus if anything is different from what we have in the fleet. And so just a quick update to the group that those 2 buses have been delivered, and that we're also working with Grand West for the 4 additional buses that we procured from them, and that is going to be delivered by the end of next winter, March 2022. So I think that is the most significant report based on all the items listed in the memo.
Thanks, Eunice. It's always fun to ride a new bus. Thank you so much, and appreciate. Jeff.
I'd like to maybe have a discussion around one item in the transit memo.
Sure.
And it has to do with digital signage.
Okay.
So here's my observation. The new digital signage, and I may not have the right words here, but they list the buses that will be departing from that location. And it's not the right words, but the buses that are arriving there as well. I find it very confusing. Let me give you an example. At the bus slip for N1 and N2, those are the 2 buses that leave there. And the buses are listed and when their next departure is, but the S4 is also listed there. And I do understand that the buses are interlined, and I do understand that the bus that's coming in is from the S4 route. But I don't think that people are looking to find out what bus is arriving. I'm looking for an explanation of why the S4 is listed with N1 at the N1 and N2 slip. And it is uniform around the transit platform. I first noticed it around the W1, W2, W6, and there were the N3 was listed there. And I thought, what's the N3 being listed here? Well, it's interlined with another route, but the N3 leaves from a different place. So I'll stop. Somebody can probably explain this better than I have, but I'm confused, and I probably have an opinion about this.
Okay. Jeff, I want to say that we're still working with the vendors to program the digital signage that have been installed, and probably will call on Haley to provide additional information based on the question you posed.
Yes, so there's 2 things that have been going on. One is that there was some incorrect programming that is supposed to be fixed either yesterday or today, and I've reached out to see if that problem has been addressed, of listing the wrong buses at the wrong platforms. I haven't received an answer yet, but we're working on verifying that. And then the other thing is, actually tomorrow we're going to be getting training. City staff and RATP dev staff will be getting training on kind of being able to control these signage, the digital signage, and what is being put out. And that discussion of whether or not it should just be departures or if it should also be arrivals has been something we've been thinking about. And so I think we can, take that into consideration moving forward, that the arrivals, it sounds, is being more confusing than it is helpful. I'd be curious, has that been everyone else's experience as well, that the arrival bus numbers has just been kind of confusing?
As a bus rider, I'll say that the arrivals are not stressful when you're at the transit station. Arrivals become more important when you are off-site waiting at a bus stop, not at the transit center. Transit center is where you're really worried about, when is my bus leaving? Mm-hmm. How much time do I have? What can I do before my bus leaves? How do I need to prepare for this? Where do I need to stand? It's the arrivals, I think, that are important when you're out in the world. And that's just my 2 cents, that if you're standing at the transit station, you just want to know, how can I get from here to my place that is off site of here?
Okay, so potentially at the UNCA or other locations for digital signage, potentially the arrival would still be helpful, but not at the transfer station.
Yes, and then I have a follow-up question for just digital signing on the buses. Like I continue, and I've been riding the buses for a couple years now, and certainly since the changes of January, anyway, when things changed on the west side, that the overhead announcements and that the digital signage on the existing buses is still not always right, and can be really troublesome for new riders, and just it can add to the anxiety of just not knowing if you're catching the right bus at the right time. So, hearing on the W1 that we're going to Biscuit View is confusing. And I know, I know that we're not, but why does it still say that?
Mm-hmm. That's, as someone who's new to Asheville and was riding the bus, I experienced that same confusion. I was like, I don't know if I get off here. But we've brought that up lately, and we can continue. I can make sure that we bring that up and discuss that with RITP Dev, and are making sure that those signs are correct, and kind of start monitoring that a little bit more closely.
Well, I think just because it's on the table right now and we've got the people, could someone from RIP Dev speak to that, please?
Yeah, the signs, both the talking bus, which is the head sign, and the talking inside the bus, is created through a company that the city has hired to do that. In January, there were some errors. We had planned to go back to that when we were changing the service mid last year, but that service change never occurred. So it has ridden through the entire COVID experience. And our intent is to make sure we'll communicate with the city what needs to be changed so that can be done for the October 31st startup. That's a city product, not ours. And we'll work with them. I mean, we're collecting data on any of the ones that you know. So absolutely, if you want to send those in to the city, we'll continue to add to a list of those that are occurring.
You want me to send a list to the city?
Well, any that you have, we're also we're also making sure that the drivers give us any info on that, and we'll get that to them to have that updated on the we don't have major changes to the routes as far as they go, but these lingering miscues on the talking bus with Clever Device need to be adjusted, and we planned on doing that with the next service change, which unfortunately has now been delayed until we're doing October. Our whole intent is to do that October 31st, and so along those lines, anybody looking for work, we're hiring drivers.
Yeah, well, you're talking to a bunch of bus riders. Love to help you help recruit more drivers.
Well, as a note on that, if people have a good driving record, and this is just something to keep in mind in conversations you have with people out there, we are willing and wanting to be able to find people who have good customer service skills and get them through the CDL permit process and then the certification for CDL as well. And we're getting some good, decent people that are signing up for that. And we think that's going to have an impact. So that is something new and different that we have not advertised a great deal of. But the fact is over the last several years, we've been able to hire experienced CDL drivers. Well, they're not out there right now. So we're going to have to bring them up from the ground level, and we're committing to do that.
Yeah. Well, Jeff.
I'd like to give some feedback here if y'all are looking at doing this. I guess you know that once you're inside the bus, there is no indication visually or audibly of what bus you are on. And at least once a week, that creates a lot of confusion for some bus rider. I see it happen all the time. When there are multiple buses serving Tunnel Road, people, and I know they need to be more responsible. They will get on the first bus that comes along, but they have no clue that they got on WE2 instead of WE1. And so if there could be any indication that, once you're on the bus, just a visual reminder, this is WE2, this is not WE1, it's not S2, it's not 170. There are 4 buses, and it could be N4 or N5, I forget. 5 buses. So I would like to just make that recommendation, if you have the ability to make that change, to consider having a visual display inside the bus of what bus you're actually on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if we have that capability, but I'll look into that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I just have one more, just to follow up on Barry's call for action to hire, and just want to echo your acknowledgement, Barry, that yes, you do recruit and hire such great drivers and great staff, for sure. And I do just would feel that it's a disservice to not say that I feel like retention is a problem, and drivers quitting, and really great drivers quitting, because the culture at transit is hard. And so I do ask that you just address the turnover and how many drivers, not because of COVID, but just how long the average new driver stays, and what are the reasons they're giving for moving on. Please.
Yeah, and yet we don't have a high turnover. We had 56 drivers last year at this time. We have 55 drivers now at this time. So, and quite honestly, this industry carries a high turnover of initial people. And part of that is just you're right, the culture of the people they're engaging, the people they have to engage with, and the crappy shifts. And quite honestly, who comes on to our seniority? You end up at nights and weekends. Now, if there was a way to get around some of that, and we have discussions about that frequently, but I'll give an example. We have an employee who turned in her 2-week notice a week ago, and she is going to Iowa with her daughter because her daughter got a scholarship to go to college there, and she's going with her to stay with her and get a room and hang out there. We don't have a whole bunch of turnover. We just don't. It's not true.
Okay, I just want to ask a follow-up question. So you started with that this time last year you had 56 drivers, and that this time now you have 55. How many of those are the same person? They're all the same people?
No, probably all but 10.
Yeah, got it.
So yeah, it's not huge. When you really look at what's going on, it is not a huge turnover.
Yeah. Another follow-up question about the crappy times of service. So I work primarily in a service industry, thank goodness, retail. So I work in-person retail at a mall. So in a retail establishment, and the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., which are roughly the hours of operation for a job that I know that as an employee who relies on the bus to get to these jobs, that I have a window of 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. So when you say that those hours, that makes me nervous for future expansion. Can we not? Jeff?
Point of information.
There's going to be an issue with the later service. You are correct.
Yeah.
People don't, and that's kind of why we're looking at people who may have service industry background, good customer service skills, and maybe they want to move to a new career. So, those are the kind of things that you try to do because of that, because you're right. The later transit agencies across the country that have 24/7 service, it's the bottom end that rotates because by seniority, that's where those people end up. And if they can find something that pays about the same, maybe about the same bennies, but I don't work till 2 a.m. or midnight, they're doing it. So I'm sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, well, just thank you, Barry. And Jeff, I'll let you move on now.
This is a great discussion, but point of information, I'd like to invite us to move back to the agenda. I believe we are on the monthly transit update memo is the topic of the agenda that we're currently on.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And Barry, thank you for indulging me. Yeah, let's move on. Thank you, Jeff.
I think the next thing is the operations update.
We've got all those reports in there. If there's any questions on those, or if you have a question after the meeting, I'm more than happy to field them. Anybody have any questions on those reports?
Jeff?
So I read the complaints, and I was very curious about the first complaint in the log. I will point out that's the you almost never mention the passenger by name, and in that example, you did mention the passenger by name, and you probably don't want to do that. I'm also curious. It was a passenger who said that the transit staff refused to sell him a bus pass at the window. That was the complaint. The follow-up response is, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, is that we emailed him. And there was some very serious accusations made in that complaint. I would be interested in knowing if there is a resolution. Why is it true that the transit staff refused to sell him a bus pass at the?
No.
Okay. So, and that's fine. That's fine. That often, I will say, I often know that what passengers report is not accurate. It would have been helpful for me to see in the follow-up response is that what the customer said was not accurate, that they did offer him a pass, or I don't know what the answer is. I was looking for more information there. It just said, it gave the passenger by name and said we emailed him and or something.
Yeah, there was a lot more to it than that. We'll go back in and update that with just a little bit more, so it's a little more fluid and understandable. Yeah, no, very little of that was the truth.
All right, and I'll just ask one more because I was curious. Did a driver really deny entry to a passenger who was on crutches because they were on crutches?
No.
All right, because the response is that we're gonna talk to the operator about that, and I think it said you're gonna. I was led to believe by what was written that the operator actually did that. So a little bit, maybe a lack of clarity there, or maybe I read it too quickly.
Okay, we'll look at that one as well.
Again, complaints number 177 and 178.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet.
To just thank you, Jeff. To follow up a little bit, it sounds like, Barry, though, that you do know a little bit more about these incidents. Is there anything you can share to just give a little more information to the situation? Or if LaShawn can?
LaShawn, are you still with us? Can you give a little more background? Well, she may have had to drop off with an employee. No, I don't want to give a whole lot more than what we've given. We have a passenger who is spreading lies to a lot of different people. And so we need to dance that carefully, and we're going to continue to dance that carefully. I believe that, yeah, a simple answer, not at fault, can really spell out a lot for individuals like us in this group who are looking at a complaint. it just gives you insight into the fact that there's a lot more to it than what is being stated there on the one side. And quite honestly, we don't want to lay bare everything that an individual is speaking to mistruth about.
Hi, Jeff. What was those numbers again?
Complaint number 177 and 178.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So 177, I didn't answer it. Also, actually, I didn't answer it, so I don't know why my name is in that. But 178.
And I will say that 177, the response mentions the passenger by name, and given the severity of the accusations that are contained in that, probably you don't want to mention the passenger by name.
I never mentioned the passenger name or anybody else's name. So
I've noticed
the person that answered that actually was the one that answered this complaint. So I didn't answer that complaint. 178. I am training. I'm training him, the person that put that complaint in as well. And so yes, that one did it happened, but it didn't happen the way the complaint said it did.
Often the case.
Yes. So yes, for the inconvenience, we did offer him a bus pass.
Okay.
He was able to get on the bus with the crutches. It was just the miscommunication of whether the rent was coming out. So it wasn't what he couldn't get on the bus or was not allowed to get on the bus.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeff, do you have anything else? Do you feel satisfied?
No. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm a little confused about where we are now. Monthly memo, do we feel like we've handled all of that? On-time performance, I don't know if there's anything, the summary. You want to just speak to on-time performance real quickly?
Well, yeah, all of these, actually, if there's any questions about any of those, we're happy to field them. The documents pretty well speak to what the realities are. Our OTP has dropped a little bit due to ridership. It has dropped, and the traffic, the weekends and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are having some effect. So,
thank you, Barry.
We're doing the maintenance we're supposed to be doing. Ridership numbers are in there as well.
Thank you, and you're right. The documents do provide a lot of great information, and we thank you for all the time that goes into those and for sharing those. So if we don't have anything else, then other business, we don't have anything. Rider experience, any transit committee noteworthy experiences? Harvey.
Yes. I would love to thank staff for the great job they're doing. Fantastic. I love the signage that's coming out, that technology. I'm just thrilled to death about it. I can see where it's going. Have little nicks in it right now, but I love where it's going. I mean, I talked to one of the supervisors on the platform. He explained it to me what the signage was doing. Oh, I was in love with it. I got to the bathrooms. The bathrooms were clean. I loved it. I mean, I was just like on fire. I was on fire. I mean, I'm happy, and the platform is clean. Now, let me see, 2 weeks ago, you had to wear a mask on the platform, but now you don't have to wear a mask on the platform. I'm thrilled. I was thrilled about that this past week, because when I had to go do my jury duty, I didn't have to wear a mask on the platform. I said, that's okay. And I think we need to reiterate this. We went over this a couple of months ago, that we have issues with things that go awry on the buses and whatnot, but we were trying to solve those things with staff, giving them a call and letting them know about it so we don't take up committee time. And I've had issues the times that I'm on the bus and I get with LaShawn and Barry and them, and those things worked out. I don't have to take up committee time to go through this complaint, that complaint, and all that, because it's already handled. I'm on it. The driver doesn't have a mask on. I'm on it. I get there, nobody has a mask on behind the window. I'm on it. One of the drivers, they're walking down the ramp, where the buses go up and down. I'm on it. I'm with staff. I'm on it. I let them know then and there. I'm not going to take up committee time. In other words, to have, solve that issue. I solve it with them then and there. Whether they know about it or not, it's on camera now. I have it on my phone. I don't waste committee time with that, but I wish we would. We went over this over a couple of months ago. We need to do what we say we're going to do, and let staff do their job. Let us do our job, and have a smooth committee meeting. And I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Harvey.
Like I say, Barry, I'm proud of y'all. I'm very proud of y'all.
We're pretty proud of ourselves too. We do have a good staff here, and it shows. I mean,
Yeah.
You know what? None of us is perfect.
Yeah.
But doggone it, we have a pretty good staff. Right? Utility,
Yeah.
right on up through the drivers, everything. It worked pretty well.
And those new people that I don't know, I'm getting to know them, and they are on the one.
Very good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harvey, and thank you, Barry, for running a transit committee in a tourist town where traffic, you really do make things happen with pretty incredible odds sometimes. So thank you. LaShawn, utmost respect for you and all the things you do every day. So again, just thank you to everyone. The next item is to adjourn, but I do just want to remind everyone to tune into the July 27th board and commission meeting and to weigh in if you feel moved to do so, because that is when the future of this group could potentially change. Will certainly be changed even for just the conversation and the experience. So if there's nothing else, our next meeting will be on August 17th. This will be in person. I look forward to seeing everyone there. Are there any things? We're a little bit early. It's 5:17. Harvey, I hear that you want us to certainly stay on task, and I love your leadership. Kim, you have something to add?
All I'll add is that the Boards and Commissions Committee meeting will be in the first floor conference room of City Hall in person at 10 a.m. on that Tuesday, July 27th.
In person. Okay. Just one more second to wish Jeff Jones well on his new adventures and to wish everyone on this committee well as you travel by bus or other ways in this world and in this community. Thank you so much for everything you do. Staff, Amy, Eunice, Haley, all y'all. Thank you and see you in August.
I'll see you in a year, Jeff.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Be
Good
well,
work,
be safe.
everybody. Harvey, I love you, man.